Hey guys, this is Comiken, and yeah, I'm here with Kova, just hanging out.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So, I mean, I've been following you for like a good year or two now. I don't remember how I found your page. I don't know if I found you on YouTube first or if I found you on Instagram. But I've been pretty much tracking you for a good while. And I don't like how has everything been since I mean we talked again like last year, right? On my main page, and now
Uh-huh.
you were doing Air Rider 1 and Air Rider number 2, both the Kickstarters, and then now you're moving on to another comic called Saintly. So how has the journey from since then to now been for you?
Hard. It's been very hard, man. Um, yeah, going from like Air Rider, I started Air Rider, like I started to take it seriously and started to try to make a career out of comics seriously because I ran out of money. And
Mhm.
so I was just like, okay, well, I'm broke and I don't have any money and I want to figure out how I can actually uh make a business out of comics so I don't have to be at a full-time like 9 to 5 job forever. So that's why I ran the Kickstarters for Air Rider,
Mm.
and eventually somebody reached out to me to create my own comic called Saintly. It's actually somebody I've been in contact with for a very long time now, and after seeing the results that I got with Air Rider, they were like, "Okay, well, let's get up another level. Let's do something with this new project called Saintly."
Okay, so what is Saintly like about, and then what is the difference from working on Saintly compared to work on Air Rider?
I'm sorry, you said what was the difference of working on Saintly compared to Air Rider?
Yeah, what how has the experience been different between both projects?
Yes, Air Rider was a project that I did or started during school, like during my years at the Kubert School,
Mhm.
and that was more like, okay, I made my first comic and this is my first product. Like this is what it looks like when I actually do my best or try to make a full story. And I did 2 issues of that. I did actually do um a few like 30 pages of a third issue, but that's still in the production phase because I switched over to doing Saintly, something that I'm getting paid to do right now. So working on Saintly is like, okay, I got a couple comics under my belt. Now I get to try to use the skills that I've learned making those comics and make something completely new in a different genre.
Okay, okay. Has it been like so is this comic going to be this is gonna be a web comic or this is gonna be a physical comic? What is the way you're gonna roll this one out?
This I'm gonna start off as a webcomic.
Okay.
That's basically the model that I've always believed in, where you start off with the webcomic, put that out first, and then um, as people read it and get to know the characters, then you roll out the physical copies so that people can buy it once they're invested.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I think that is definitely a good model. That's a model that I did before I started like publishing all my stuff, and it is definitely something I want to go back to, like probably here in the near future, and like put out free stuff. I think giving out free stuff, especially since it's like we're artists and the writer, like it's not like we're losing any money by just giving it out for free. You know, it's just kind of like here you go. I think that's kind of like the best way, especially when you see things like a manga plus get deals or things on like webtoons and stuff like that. It's definitely like a good model to get like to cultivate an audience to come into what you're doing, you know? But
Right.
with Saintly, like what lessons from the first two books of Air Rider have you like translated into this book that's like either helped you speed up your process or your art style, or like what did you learn from the first two books you've applied to this one?
What did I learn from the first two? Well, I would just say from making Air Rider, like the first 2 issues of Air Rider, I just learned to actually complete something.
Mhm.
Um, I learned that it's not going to be a forever process, that it's not going to take forever to do the comic. I mean, it might take a long time, but if you actually complete complete it in chapters, then you can finish something that somebody can hold and read and get the full narrative of. And so with Air Rider going into Saintly, I learned not to make this huge long narrative that spans multiple volumes and issues or whatever. uh Saintly is going to be more of a contained story
Mhm.
that is it's going to be a graphic novel when it's all said and done. This is only the first chapter that you're looking at, pages from the first chapter of it.
Mhm.
And it's once it's done, like once that first volume is done, it's going to be done completely, but the story itself will leave room open for more if people like it enough to have it continue.
Yeah, for sure. I learned that lesson as well. Like, in 2023, I was doing like a web series also on my website I have now, but I took all those pages down. But at the time, I was just kind of thinking like, okay, I'm just gonna keep busting out chapters, and then at a certain point, I felt like, man, my skills they're getting a little bit better, but I'm still not learning like drawing. I'm just drawing, but I'm not actually like studying really art and stuff like that. And also,
Mm,
I was like trying to make this big grandiose thing. And I mean, I was finishing comics, I was finishing the chapters, but I wasn't really progressing, getting better in the grand scheme of things. So I was just like, let me take a step back and let me start making little short contained, self-contained stories and see how I can do things like that. And then build up to doing more uh story arc, like longer formatted stories. Like when the comics I'm working on now, AWOL, I'm trying to format that as like 4 issue story arcs, and then just kind of just read, not like start over, but like it's still gonna be like serialized, but it's like you can read the first story arc and it'll be like a complete story, and then you can move to the next one and it will be complete. So that's how I'm trying to like formulate it go moving forward, so I don't have to like do like crazy like writing effort where I'm like having to plant seeds here that I had to recall and like chapter 50, because you don't ever know like because
yeah.
I've kind of get to the point sometimes where I'm like, okay, I'm kind of over like drawing this story and I kind of want to move to something else. So I kind of want to give myself
Mm,
room to do that as well. Where like I've been thinking about, all right, next year was coming up, what do I want to do next year, right? So I'm gonna like write this the second arc for AWOL, and then I'm gonna go back to that webcomic I was talking about earlier, and I want to redraw that one, and then maybe work on some other stuff here and there. Whereas like it's kind of like amazing to think about now, where how creators can or will, especially back in the day, and even with manga, how they'll stay on something for such a long time and not get bored with it. Whereas with me
mhm.
is like I get so many different ideas, and I'm like, okay, I want to do this now, I want to do this now, and do this now. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I know you like during that time you were studying a lot of like books on writing and all those like theories and stuff like that. Has that helped a lot with this series and like incorporating those skills that you learned from all that study you were doing into Saintly?
Yes, absolutely. Everything that I read, it like when I was writing Air Rider, I didn't have even a fraction of the information that I have going into Saintly. And I've finished like certain books that have given me such a complete knowledge of narrative storytelling that going into Saintly, I think it'll have a much stronger story than Air Rider. And I have the people that are helping me, let's say, edit the story, are so tuned into the power of storytelling that they're able to help me spot weaknesses in my writing where I wouldn't even be able to see them myself. And so I have a good team backing me up in terms of developing this story. Whereas with Air Rider, it was mostly me on my own trying to figure things out and put things together.
Nice, nice. So, so how was your experience working on doing the Kickstarter? Going back to Air Rider, how was that? Because I know you were big on like studying marketing and how to like run a successful Kickstarter. So how was that experience for you doing those 2 campaigns?
Yeah. One thing I learned about marketing in terms of like trying to get your first book out there, I learned from Brian Pulido, who did like Lady Death
Mm-hmm.
and all his like Coffin
The
comics.
Comics, yeah.
He said to, if you're gonna roll out a new comic book, you want to start marketing it little by little for about a year and a half or so. And I was just like, a year and a half? Why would I do something like that? But that's exactly what I did with Air Rider. I was just like, okay, well, if he said he's the guy, so if he says it out like a year and a half, I just started posting on Twitter for a year straight, um, all the way up until March of the following year when I finally launched. And I took this program called Comics Launch.
Yeah.
I think his name is Tyler James, and he basically taking his program, it showed me how to actually put together a successful Kickstarter, set up an email list, set up everything that I need to make sure that this first Kickstarter goes off without a hitch. And I had no idea that there was so much that went into a Kickstarter, because I didn't want to just launch Air Rider and just put it out there and hope for the best. I wanted to do it right and not get embarrassed by like bad results on the kicks. So I took this program so that I would learn how to actually put together the book, market it, put it out there, and get enough attention on it so that when I actually launched the book, people would be there to check it out. So that's what I did leading up to the first launch of Air Rider, and I tried to replicate that for the second launch as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I did my Kickstarters, I kind of was just like, let's just do it. Like, I saw like I
Yeah.
probably promoted for like 2-3 weeks beforehand. I set
Hmm.
everything up. Once I got that, then I was kind of like, just going for it. And then because my initial thought was to do the first arc of AWOL issue 1 through 4, and then just do like draw it all up, and then do the Kickstarter for the trade instead of doing individual floppies, because I've been doing my first couple of tablings this year at shows and stuff, and I realized that like I did a couple collab books with other artists, and they're like thicker books, like trade size books, and those books were like selling faster than like the floppies, right? Because most casual fans or people, I feel like, are more drawn to something that's thicker than they would be a floppy, where you kind of have to be like careful with it and whatever. And then, what I'm saying, it can't just be like a regular book. And then also the price point too, like, floppy, indie floppy is like, $10, roughly, depending on like, the printer, and how much you can get for your printing stuff. And then the trade is about the same price too, for like the printing cost, depending on where you go through. And then like
Hmm.
you can market the same price, like $20, and that's still like roughly close to like regular mainstream pricing for a trade. So whenever I was at the shows, I was like, well, my next show I want to have the full 4 issues of AWOL done, but I didn't get a chance to, like,
Hmm.
I only had the first 2 issues done by the time the show that I ended up going to in August. So I
Right.
was like, I know, fuck it, let me just do the Kickstarter for issue 1, and then just kind of, that'll be like my testing ground to kind of see how it goes, and then go from there. And then it was successful. I was funded in like a week. It was cool. It's super stressful, like definitely like the super duper stressful. Something I'm just
Yeah.
like super annoying, but it was definitely a learning experience for sure. So yeah, it was interesting. It's an interesting like realm Kickstarter, because you don't like, there's no really, at least in my experience, at least there's no rhyme or reason to Kickstarter. I mean, I've been on Kickstarter like backing books and stuff like for 2 years, and you never know what's gonna make hella money, what's not, unless they're like super duper established
Hmm.
person, or like they've been doing a lot of those art books for like super popular artists and stuff. But if you're not
Hmm.
in that realm with like a super strong IP or a popular person, it's kind of like hit or miss, no matter how high quality your skills are or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been seeing like you've been posting daily videos. What inspired you to start doing that on your YouTube channel?
Um, I think the thought came to my mind where I was just like, you know, it actually is possible to make a living at doing comics. And if you just did the work or did the thing that you're scared of doing, then you'll probably succeed. Like you'll probably um get to that goal that you're striving for if you just take this step. So I was just like, okay, YouTube, I have more followers on YouTube than I have on any other platform. And it's something I've been on YouTube for 13 years. So it's been like, I mean, I can just start it and get good at it. And basically I was like, I can allow myself to suck really bad at making YouTube videos and just
Mhm.
gradually improve as I continue making them. Um and just learn as I go. And I thought, okay, if I just keep going when nobody else is willing to do the same, then I think I can make this work. I can make this comics thing a career.
Yeah, for sure. What like so what is your like long-term goals? Like what is like I know you like financial sustainability, but like what else are you trying to seek and like do as far as like comics and moving forward? Like have you thought about like what that would look like for you as far as like, you know, in your career and trajectory and things like that?
I would say that it would be sort of like creating a community of people who understand the vision that I'm going for with my comics
Mhm.
and who are on board with what I'm trying to create. And I want to talk a lot more about like the aesthetics that I like in art and also try to portray that in the comics that I'm making. So I'm gonna blend the two together um so that people get into my work by way of me explaining my love for a specific aesthetic in comics. And hopefully if I do this long enough, I can get to basically uh like the top of my niche and be able to attract more people who would want to work with me and make even better comics than I can do on my own, or
For
even
sure.
animations or games or whatever that I have in mind.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, like for me, like I started the YouTube thing about like 2 years ago. Kind of in the same vein of just trying to like build up a platform of myself and a brand for myself, and just like move people towards buying my comics and stuff like that. Because I kept seeing like, you know, like all the comics gate people and like all these other big YouTubers who would just come up out of nowhere with the comic book, and then they'll like here, and then people may buy it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, well, I can do the same thing as those guys are doing. You know what I'm saying? Except for like, I'm not gonna do all the social like the what's the clickbaity racist fucking what is that shit they're the what's that shit called they were calling it the what's it called wars, I forgot what it's called, but but that whole like thing, I'm just gonna do it in my own way where I'm just gonna just make videos about things that I like, and then kind of
Right.
give my maybe my critique on stuff, and you know, go from there. And it's, I mean, it's been working so far. It's definitely like moved over to people buying my comics and like checking out my stuff. And so now it's just kind of like just doubling down on that, making my videos better, and as well as keep progressively like making my artwork and my storytelling better as well. And so that's kind of like what I envision, and like what I kind of do is I kind of mirror or like mimic what other people that I see as kind of successful are doing, and then I just kind of just go from there. So like I started this channel, and like I want to start doing these live streams where I feel like one, I can have conversations with like-minded, you know, creators and stuff like that, and not like try to get a Marvel or DC artist. I want to get somebody who's on the ground floor with me, and
Hmm.
coming up, because then like we can like, you know, share ideas and have these conversations where we can kind of like build on each other, like build upon each other's ideas, and then like take, and you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you go like to cons, you kind of go to a professional, and you're like, oh, look at my portfolio and whatever, whatever. but do it like digitally, and then also I can help promote you guys or whoever I bring on and stuff like that. So that's kind of like what I've been trying to like figure out. Because I mean, I had like when I first got it back into drawing and making comics, I had like, all right, this is my 5-year plan. These are my goals that I want to hit. Da da da. And now I'm hitting
Mhm.
like my 5th year, and so now I'm like, all right, let me next year moving forward. I'm trying to figure out what my goals are going to be for these next 5 years, and then just kind of go from there. And so I mean, so far, I mean, so good, and whatnot. But it definitely has been like an interesting journey because it's definitely moved in different ways that I didn't expect. 'Cause, like so,
Right.
yeah. Comics are funny, are a funny and interesting field where like it kind of is just, I wouldn't say it's random, but it is also kind of, you don't really know what's going to get you to the point of like success or like being published or any of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so up in the air, like how you get to where you're getting. Like you see these people who are successful and you're just like, how did you even do that? And they don't even know. So it's such a crapshoot. Like it's just up in the air. And it's like I'm trying so hard to do or draw in a certain way, but then it could just be some random doodle that I do that I post up that everyone likes for some reason. And they want to see more of that character. And then I start drawing more doodles. And then people are like, oh, wow, I love when you did this and do more of that. And I'm like, but I wanted to make Air Rider. I wanted to make Saintly or something, but they want more of the doodle thing. Like it's like you're playing to what the internet likes at times. Like you're just trying to draw what people will respond to.
Yeah, for sure. Like on Instagram, if you want to get like popular or get a lot of traction, you start doing like a bunch of fan art, and like you'll see these pages who are like straight dedicated to doing like Naruto like drawings or Dragon Ball Z drawings, and then like they'll get all the likes on those, and then they'll do like something original or different, and then nobody's fucking with it. So it is interesting because
Yeah.
you do have to like uh go through that whole like algorithm war with doing something that you want to do and then playing towards the audience that's gonna like give you the attention that you might need in order to sell a book and stuff like that. So it is kind of fascinating, especially like things are ever changing with these algorithms too, where like you don't know what is working and what's popping or what how to even get to these places. And I remember I was listening to somebody's interview and they were talking about when one door I think it might have been Scotty Young actually. He's like, when one door opens up to get into comics, it closes right behind once that person goes through. So like there's no like way to become a professional, quote unquote, depending, whatever your definition of that is. Like for me, I don't think I necessarily want to be like a Marvel or DC guy. I think I like the older I've gotten and the more books and that I've been reading and stuff, I think I want to be like a graphic novelist where I like take like 2-3 years, make like a fat ass 500-page book, come out with it, and then through Penguin House or Scholastic or something like that, and just kind of go from there. Whereas like, because I mean the monthly like floppy model is cool and all, but I think it plays to a certain audience of people who want a certain specific thing. Where yeah, I like superhero stuff and here and there whatever, but the older I've gotten and I feel like I've liked more like the slice of life stuff, the more like realism, like Craig Thompson's work or like Durf, Daniel Klaus, like these guys who kind of like do these more obscure like artsy type stories that like can either be like cult classics or like super mega hits depending on like the time, whatever. So those are definitely things I've been like thinking about as far as just like where I want to go, and even like just doing like a web series. Like if I could just do like I have a website where I can just post my web comics on there, and like I get like to
Mhm.
hell attraction, like thousands of people, and then go from there. So it is a fascinating thing. How has it been for you since like you went to the Cuber school, and like how has it been from there? Like have you like seen people you've went to school with kind of like hit like a trajectory that you kind of seen that's like been successful, or like how has it been since like post college and all the artwork and making comics and stuff like that?
Mm.
And has your like what you thought you were gonna do at that point changed, like your goals or like your like what's the word I'm looking for? Like your thought process on like how to get to that place changed, you know, to like whatever you were trying to get to as far as like success goes and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, it's completely changed like since graduating the Kubert school. Um I thought in the Kubert school I would be getting work to maybe draw somebody's book for Image Comics or some sort of indie side thing like I get hired to draw somebody's story versus or like come in as a colorist or just do some type of work for hire type thing where I get paid to work bring somebody else's vision to life.
Mm-hmm.
um and I've gotten like color work and all that kind of stuff like since the Kubert school, but it's not been a linear straight line thing where it's just like, okay, I graduated and now all the jobs are flooding to me. It was more like I graduated, I didn't feel like drawing anymore, so I quit for a while. And then I was just like, okay, I moved out from my parents' place, and then I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna do all this other stuff. And then I spent all my money, and I was just like, okay, now I gotta buckle down and try to make this into a career. And so then that's when I got started, and I was just like, what do I have to start my comics thing? And then I had Air Writer, and I was just like, oh yeah, I made this during college. Let me see if people would like to purchase it. And that's how that started. Like I was just like, okay, well, let me try something with that. And yeah, that's basically how I got the ball rolling after the Kubert school. And it's completely different from what I imagined it would be getting into the comic industry. Like there nothing in the comic industry is quote unquote like professionally done. Like it's not cut and dry like I thought it would be. It's not where you just draw the pages and then turn it in no matter what on time every time, or like turning in the pages every month on time. It's more like sometimes things just completely fall through, and projects don't even get off the ground. Even if you drew something for somebody, that project might not even go anywhere. And more times than not, it's money that dictates what gets created, um, than anything else.
For sure, for sure. All right, so I'm gonna flip the camera. I don't know if you have anything you were gonna, you know, have anything to work on, and I'm gonna start working on this piece. I did this piece for of your character. I don't know if you can see it. It's shorty with the
Oh, cool.
glasses. I liked her design, so I'm gonna flip my camera and start inking that, and then we can continue the conversation.